It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs. Online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced, white-knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue. Get over to Joe's today. Do yourself right with a little indoor kart racing. Big show lined up for you today as we get set for the elimination race at ISM Raceway. 4 drivers.
The final elimination race.
Correct. Before the championship race. And by the way, this race next year is going to move to the championship race. So it'll be interesting to see if any non-playoff contenders are kind of testing some stuff out today.
Yeah, it's a monster jumble schedule, whatever you want to say, what they're doing the schedule. It's all the same tracks, just in a different order.
Yeah, but anyways, today's show, so we're going to cover what happened at Texas. Then Devyn Peterson, sport mod driver in the 5D, is going to join us in turn number 2. Shane Stutzman in turn number 3, stock car champion at I-80 Speedway, and then we will preview today's race at ISM Raceway. All right, so let's take a look at what happened at Texas. Boy, has Chase Elliott's playoff hopes just dimmed and dimmed and dimmed.
Karma's still there. I mean, we talked about it last race.
Yeah.
And, he got lucky to move into this round, and, maybe he shouldn't have moved into this round, plain and simple.
Yeah, sometimes they can continue that momentum and move their way in. Other times it just catches up with them. And what was it? It was another mechanical issue. I didn't catch what it was.
I just know all of a sudden he's in the wall and, basically done. I mean, before he got to turn 3, they, pretty much decided they were done for the day.
312 laps completed for the number 9 of Chase Elliott. He finishes 32nd on the day. He is now 78 points behind.
That was a full
so
race.
he's a long ways behind. A rough couple of races for him, and a 78-point disadvantage. There's not a lot of bonus playoff points he could have shot for in the regular season that would have helped him here. This is just simply the team not firing on all cylinders, having an issue, car breaking loose, whatever. This is racing. How quickly the good times can come and how quickly they can go.
Well, it's 2 races that he's all but DNF'd.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't finish 30th, below 30th twice in a row and move up. It's just not going to happen.
Brad Keselowski, who was my pick for the weekend in one of the 2 contests that we're doing, finished 39th on the day.
That explains that.
Yep. My season has fallen apart quickly. Jimmy Johnson, 34th on the day, like we mentioned. Chase Elliott, 32nd. Denny Hamlin, another playoff contender, finished 28th on the day. Kyle Larson, who was having a good day running until Bubba Wallace mysteriously spun to Kyle's information, spun on purpose to bring out the caution.
It's pretty sketchy looking if you've watched the film.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that coming up in a little bit. Kyle Larson finishes 12th on the day, Ryan Blaney 8th. That leaves, let me continue through that. Kyle Busch 7th on the day, Martin Truex Jr. 6th on the day, with Joey Logano 4th. And then Kevin Harvick, one of the playoff contenders, punched his round into Homestead, winning Stage 1, finishing 6th in Stage 2, leading 119 laps. And he got 6 bonus playoff points, which means diddly as he moves into Homestead. They will all be reset. Him and Martin Truex Jr., who both punched their tickets, and then the 2 drivers that will make it in after today's race at ISM will all be, I believe, at 5,000 points.
Yeah, I don't remember where they said it, but that sounds correct.
There's no bonus points, no points for leading the most laps, no points for leading a lap, no points for winning a stage. It's all about who crosses the line in the best finishing position. And I think every one of the years that we've had this system, the winner of the race has been the champion of the series.
Well, the champion has won the race.
That's a better way to put it. Yep, absolutely. The standings as we go into today's race at ISM Raceway, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, like we mentioned, both locked into the next round. Kyle Busch with a 22-point advantage over 5th place Denny Hamlin. Joey Logano has a 20-point advantage over Denny Hamlin in 4th. Hamlin, first car on the outside looking in, 20 points behind. That's not an unreasonable number to come up against, but when you're Joey Logano and you've got a 20-point advantage, I think you're going to pull a card out of the Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus playbook and not necessarily push the envelope. You don't need to push for the win today. It literally does you no good. As long as you keep Denny Hamlin close to you, you've got the win in your hand, or you've got the next round in your pocket.
Well, it just depends. If Hamlin goes out with a really good car and wins the first 2 stages, and Logano's not in the top 10 for either one, 20 points is gone.
You're right. That's absolutely, because we're talking points here. We're not talking next round. I failed to consider that. And obviously, if Joey Logano's out there leading, then Denny Hamlin's got to find a way. Or if Denny Hamlin's leading, Joey Logano's got to go out there. And you're absolutely right. It's kind of funny. These two have got a little bit of bad blood, and they're now battling for the final transfer spot. And, don't forget, Kyle Busch. We've seen that 18 team and Joe Gibbs Racing give up more than 22 points in a race with some bad races. So neither of those drivers are completely safe.
Yeah, Kyle Busch is a top 3 car or a bottom 3 car. It's just it's anybody's guess,
Ryan Blaney, 23 points behind in 6th. Kyle Larson, 23 points behind in 7th. And Chase Elliott, like we mentioned earlier, 78 points behind. Mathematically cannot point his way in. He must win his way in. That's for how it kind of looks after last weekend's race at Texas. Wanted to talk about a couple of the NASCAR news and notes. We've had some really interesting stories that have come up, and I think we're going to take a little bit of time to discuss one of the biggest ones. Roger Penske, a.k.a. Penske Corporation, has purchased Indianapolis Motor Speedway from Holman & Company, who has owned the racetrack. Did I say since about the 40s? I think it was about 47 is when Holman & Company purchased it.
But I don't remember the exact year. But yeah, the late 40s somewhere.
So Penske, along with that transaction, also purchases the IndyCar series, and now Roger Penske is in Penske Corporation is now owner of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He literally owns Indianapolis Motor Speedway now. For a time there, he owned it as a car owner.
Got a lot of trophies for that.
Absolutely. I was a little bit sad to see this because you and I have discussed this in private and on the show quite a bit. I'm a big proponent of the Brickyard 400 coming off of the NASCAR schedule in 2021. And Homer, I'm hoping that the Iowa Speedway gets added as a race to replace it so we continue with a 36-race schedule. And
NASCAR's promised to bring more short track racing.
Right. I think the signs are there. Now this kind of gives me a little bit of worry because Roger Penske does have some pull in this sport. And we talked a lot about the purchase of ISC, International Speedway Corporation, about how I think this is a move for NASCAR to be able to decide have a stronger decision over what tracks they race at, whether they need to shut tracks down and turn tracks on. Purchasing ISC and officially bringing it under the NASCAR banner and making it a private company I think was one of the moves to be able to decide what tracks to go to. ISC and Speedway Motors, the other company that owns a majority of the tracks on the schedule, had too much bargaining power. They could say, well, if you don't want to go to Michigan, then you can't go to Bristol. And they had some bargaining power with the tracks that NASCAR wanted to go to but didn't want to go to. And I kind of feel like maybe we've taken a step back. It's only Roger Penske, and it's only Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so maybe I'm just worrying about nothing. But
well, when Roger Penske said they've been racing there for 27 years, I don't think that's going to change. He actually said he doesn't see any reason to change it, which to me is saying I'm going to keep the Brickyard 400 going, but I don't know what he's going to do to keep that going, to be honest with you.
We've talked about it 100 times. It's not a great track to go watch a race at. One of the great things that we love about Kansas, you've been a big proponent of this, anywhere you sit at Kansas Speedway, you can see the entire track.
The track's
nowhere at Indianapolis can you sit and see the entire track, to my understanding.
I think you probably could at the top of the pagoda since you're on
right in the center. Yeah, maybe.
But even then, with some of the grandstands and the corners and stuff that they have on the infield side, you're not going to see the corner.
And it's not a great race for stock cars. I don't think they put on a great race there. I think NASCAR's working diligently to change that. And I think NASCAR's new aero package has worked pretty well at the mile-and-a-half tracks that have gotten some pretty bad reputations over the last 10 years. But Indy has just continued to be that track where it's an aero-dependent track, and that's because the
straightaways are so long.
Yeah.
The speed at the end of the straightaway is so fast, and the corners are so flat. It just doesn't make a good race.
Right, and I think that, and I'm hoping that Roger will. Maybe they'll make an adjustment. Maybe they'll run the road course there.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe we'll run the road course.
Who knows what's going to happen at Indy, but I was surprised to see that happen because usually you hear rumors of this stuff happening that, somebody is interested in this racetrack. Something's coming up. We always hear every couple of 6 months, you hear about a new manufacturer being interested in NASCAR, or you hear this and that. So it was kind of interesting. This just all of a sudden popped up that Roger Penske and Penske Corporation had purchased Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Indy Lights series, the IndyCar series. So that'll be interesting to see. I think it's in good hands, though. I think Roger Penske has obviously shown that he knows how to run an organization.
Well, he's dedicated to the sport. There's no doubt about that. And the only thing that really kind of bothered me is he's 82 years old.
Yeah.
There's got to be coming a time here pretty soon where, if he's got a board to answer to and stuff, he's probably going to have to step back on some of the day-to-day stuff.
I think him at 82 is still much sharper than me at 37. Kurt Busch returning to Chip Ganassi Racing. He has signed an extension deal to remain in the one car for the 2020 season. In fact, it's a multi-year extension to their partnership with Monster Energy. So while Monster Energy is no longer going to be the title sponsor for NASCAR, they are going to continue to sponsor the sport. That was kind of one of the concerns, was if NASCAR's not bringing it back as the title sponsor, are they going to remain in our sport? They've been a huge supporter of Kurt Busch and Kyle Busch, along with some of their race operations, Kyle Busch Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing. They've supported the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series. So Monster has been a huge supporter of this sport, and it's good to see that they're going to continue to support the one car. And Kurt Busch, you just keep thinking this is probably going to be the last year for him. And then he goes out and has a good run, a good season, and then he gets an extension. You're like, okay, so next year is going to be the last year.
Yeah, he's going to stay around. He's still a competitive driver. And I think if they ever get the Camaros completely figured out, he could have a couple, a multi-win season and be there, in the Final Four. I was going to say be at Homestead, but this is the last year, and he ain't going to be there this year. So
right. And I saw that Chevy had announced that they're going to be switching to the official Camaro in 2021. So they're going to get away from the ZL1, and they're going to switch officially to the Camaro.
No, the ZL1 is just a form of Camaro, like a Z28 or whatever. Okay. They've been running the Camaro now for 2 years. So it's still the Camaro. It's just the, I don't remember the actual version. It's got a couple letters and a number. I don't know, ZR2 or something. Z71, I don't remember. No, that's the pickup.
I'm just glad we're switching back to the Camaro because I can never remember
not
ZL1.
Back to the Camaro.
Well, we're just switching to calling it just the Camaro.
It's going to have a different nose is what it's going to have, which the drivers have been asking for the 2 years they've been running it, and NASCAR's allowing everybody to redo it because they're basically redoing the whole car again. So
everything I'm seeing, too, continues to have that damn splitter on there.
They're keeping the splitter.
I was really hoping that was going away. Tony Stewart said last weekend at Texas that they are close to a contract extension with Daniel Suarez to remain in the 41 for next season. The deal has not been made official or finalized quite yet, but they are wrapping up. And this is kind of the time where we start to hear those deals. This is really when silly season will start to explode. We'll probably hear of one big driver making a move, whether it be retiring or moving manufacturers or teams. And then all of a sudden, all the pieces start to move. And over the next month to month and a half, you start to figure out the layout for 2020.
Well, they also announced, and now I had the name just to tip my tongue, new crew chief for the 17.
Luke Lambert.
Lambert, there you go.
Yeah, named the crew chief for Chris Buescher.
Yep, is going to be the crew chief over there for Buescher. I know that change was made this week also.
Randall Burnett is set to serve as the crew chief for Tyler Reddick. So plans coming together for 2020. All right, 2020. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back. Devyn Peterson, who absolutely lit the sport mod world on fire at the end of this season, is going to stop by and talk about his success throughout the area. Then stock car champion Shane Stutzman, man, he practically walked to that strutted to that championship.
7 wins and 10 starts.
He just murdered the field at I-80 Speedway, won his track championship at I-80. We're going to talk about his career, his run, and so much more. That's going to be coming up at turn number 3. And then at turn number 4, we'll get you set for today's race at ISM Raceway. Final race before we find out who our winner is for the Quaker Steak and Lube $100 gift card, and we get you set for the Homestead viewing party coming up next Sunday, the 17th at Quaker Steak and Lube. We're going to take a break. We'll be back on the front stretch.
Red Oak Fabrication is excited to announce they're expanding their powder coating business, which means quicker turnaround times at the same great price. Get all the benefits of a powder-coated chassis for just $275 for a bare frame. Ask Jordan about special pricing for large and small projects today. Email Jordan F. at redoakfabrication.com. Located at the intersection of Highway 34 and 48 in Red Oak, Iowa, or at redoakfabrication.com. A beautiful and durable service business is just down the road.
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you White Knuckle Racing by the River bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. joeskarting.com for more information.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back into the front stretch. Just about ready to do another Red Oak Fabrication interview. We're talking with Devyn Peterson, driver of the 5D Sport Mod throughout the Midwest. Don't forget, affordable powder coating is available at the intersection of Highway 34 and 48 in Red Oak, Iowa, and online at redoakfabrication.com. $275 for a bare frame. If you have any powder coating, any sandblasting or reworking that needs to be done to an existing chassis, it's going to be a little bit more for the man hours, but you can always get more information by emailing jordanf@redoakfabrication.com. Once again, thank you to Red Oak Fabrication for helping us out with all of our interviews this year. Devyn Peterson, not able to pick up the track championship. You came on hot at the end of the year, just a little bit too late, but a second-place finish at I-80 Speedway is not too bad.
Yeah, definitely considering I wasn't even planning on racing points, I guess. It just kind of worked out so that we were kind of up there, so we just kept going and ended up finished second, so not too terrible.
I got to say this in a way that it doesn't sound like I'm being a jerk to you, but by the way, I think your chassis guy's calling you.
Yeah, that's normal.
He doesn't want you to give away any secrets.
Yeah.
I've obviously got to watch you over the last couple of years at I-80 Speedway, and there's been some weeks, you've just been terrible. And then all of a sudden at the end of this year, you turned it on like a madman. And not only were you fast, but I think one race you were putting a second a lap on second place.
Yeah, I-80, you would think I would be decent there throughout the years, all the laps I had, but we never really figured out, I guess, something that really worked for me until this year. Everything kind of got put together nicely, and we just kind of found something that worked for me, and I guess, yeah, the rest speaks for itself. So
that's the big question. It's always great when you find speed, but do you know how you found speed, or did you just stumble on it and now you're not really sure what you did?
It's lots of years of knowing what not to do.
There you go.
So yeah, we really got a lot closer just learning throughout the years, and a lot of help from Jeremy, a lot of help from my shot guy Andy, and there's just a lot of factors that go into it. I've never spent this much money on a car as this year either. So
wait till
at
next
the end
year.
of the day, yeah. At the end of the day, it all comes down to money. So
and that it's unfortunate because the sport mods are supposed to be the cheap class, the economical class, but you can have a $30,000, $40,000 sport mod operation. And when you think of it like that, that's a huge chunk of change.
You can have a lot more than that. Those guys tie that up in a hauler.
Yeah.
I'm crazy.
I
don't have that in my hauler, but I sadly do in my car. But if you don't, then you're just not going to be successful. So.
You're out for lunch. Yeah, you're in. So when it finally turned on, was it a huge feeling of just relief when you're finally able to pick up that win?
Yeah, I've had, I think, only 3 other wins before this year, and never won at I-80, tons of seconds, but just kind of when you get the first one, then it was kind of a domino effect after that. So.
Yeah. And I joked with you. I came down, I think, after you won your second race, and I said, hey, listen, you keep doing this, people are going to think you know what you're doing. And sure enough, you proved me right. You went up, picked up another win, continue to be strong on the year. I think you were maybe 3 or 4 laps away from a 4th win at I-80 Speedway. It was night and day compared to how you ended the season from where you started it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had some really close races with Matt. That's always fun racing with him, and that's another reason it means a lot to win at I-80, just because the guys that race there are really good. Sean and Gunner and Scott Siskel, he's been doing it since my dad was born. So, yeah. And Matt, they all go other places and do really good. So,
is that your plan? Do you want to branch out and hit more tracks more often?
Yeah, definitely. This year we didn't really do a lot of short track stuff until about mid-season, and then we kind of did some, and then we weren't very good, so we kept going back to small tracks and got our stuff a little better actually quite a bit better at the Abe Lincoln and Septemberfest. We had 2 top 5s at both of those, and that was really good, because when we started this year at the short track stuff, we just weren't very good. So definitely you got to be well-rounded in order to do good everywhere. So
it's amazing what you can, and for me, because I run down the road at the big track at I-80, and then I go down on Saturday nights at the small track at Eagle, there are things you can try at Eagle, and they will kind of translate over to I-80 Speedway.
Yeah, kind of at a place like Eagle, because all the banking, but Columbus and Beatrice, the things you learn at those tracks really don't cross over at all to say like an I-80, and I think that's why I was kind of so far off going to those places in the first place. But yeah, we worked on it and got a lot better. So
yeah, you go from track to track to track, nothing's going to beat seat time.
Yep, that's the truth. It's nothing beats simply racing and racing against other people and different kinds of track conditions. It all makes a big difference. So,
do you have somebody in the pits that you've been kind of working with to kind of help bring up your game this year?
Jeremy a lot. Jeremy Lighting, he builds slider cars. We really lean on him a lot. And then my shot guy, Andy, he's probably been one of the biggest helps. He's not really there a lot. He's hardly ever at the tracks around where we race, but him and Kevin, they're only a phone call away. And if I think I need something a little bit different on shock-wise for different type of track condition, and I kind of tell them what I want, they'll build me what I want. And every time this year, that's kind of how we got ourselves faster and faster, is just tweaking on things on our shocks. Since Jeremy's got us on such a good base, it really makes it easy to – a small change can pick up a lot of speed when you're already good in the first place, just trying to get great, I guess you could say.
And I take it that you're running a Lightning chassis?
Yep, I'm running a Slider 2019, so we're going to upgrade it this winter and race it again. So
yeah, I wouldn't get rid of it because, like I've kept hammering home, you found something, which it always drives me up a wall when guys do this. You fight with a car all year long. Last 10 races, you pick up 2-3 wins. You really start to find your groove, and then you go and sell the thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I think for a lot of guys, it's a money thing. They got to spend the money.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the guys that got a lot of money, they got to spend the money to make everything add up at the end of the year. So you know how that goes.
The opportunity to go modified racing, is that in your future?
Yeah, it is for sure. It's not really the week-to-week deal that would be the part that we couldn't do. It's just I already have all this stuff for a sport mod, and to get a 604 and a quick change and upgrade shocks, it's like another 10, 12 grand, and that's just the hard part in the winter to come a hold of when we built the sport mod. Like this year, we didn't really get a race that much because we spent so much money in the winter. We didn't really have a lot to race on, so that would be a huge problem with the A-mod deal. But I think in the future we have enough sponsors and support. I think we could for sure.
Yeah. Could eventually get up into that modified class. For the time being, you're going to continue to run in the sport mod class weekly at I-80 again, or are you going to move on and maybe go to a different track?
I'm really not sure. Last year we kind of, like I said, we didn't really race for points much anywhere. We just wanted to go out and win, and I don't know, that's the most fun, just to go out there and race to win. But it'd be cool to do something like a track championship, but we'll just kind of see how it goes here and go from there.
It seems like the favorite thing to do for a lot of drivers is kind of see how the first 5 weeks in the point seasons go. If you're in the top 3, top 4, all right, I'll stick it out. If you're outside the top 5, we'll go tour.
Yeah, that kind of plays some factor. I think like Sean, I think he said on this show last year, I'm not racing points. Well, he won like the first 2 shows, and it's dumb to not.
Right.
Because once you establish a lead, it's a lot harder to lose it than it is to gain it back in points, and so that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. I really want to race some more of the bigger shows, and we'll just kind of see how it goes.
Devyn, make sure you thank some of the sponsors that help you get up and down the road and fund the operation for the 5D machine.
Yeah, for sure. Jim Dawes Trucking, he's been big help for 3 or 4 years now. It really comes all together because of him and Speedy Mart. They're a new sponsor this year. My Aunt Kim with Hope Group, Smart Chicken. They always get lots of comments on their decal, but Kevin Siebert, he puts that deal together and gets us the chicken on the side.
And is that Smart Chicken? That's the same stuff that I buy over at Hy-Vee, right?
Yep, sure is.
No
so
kidding.
that was a pretty good sponsor to have.
That's
so.
a great sponsor.
Ernest Will Drilling, that's where me and my dad works full-time there. He's kind of runs the place, and I work there some of the summer. He pays for all of our fuel. And, of course, Jeremy, Slider Motorsports, Mark, Elliot, the welder, just everybody at Slider's awesome to work with. Josh, my teammate, him, Tyler, Blaine, Shay, we all bounce information off each other and get faster by doing that. Hoosier Tire, Great Plains, and Precise, Creaser Drywall, Data Vision, Milford Chiropractic, Roth and Mullet Foundations, Kirby Roth Insurance, Aqua Systems, Potter Repair, Milford Dental, Briggs Feed Yard, Ackerman Rock and Gravel, Martin Excavating, my Uncle Chris, Peterson Trucking, he helps out a bunch throughout the year, Spicklemeyer, Horizontal Directional Drilling, Super Spray Car Wash, Schluter Repair and Specialties, Oregon's Lawn Service, Brandon and Hunter, they're part of the Milford Mafia, I guess they call it.
Yeah.
But everybody's always around to help in Milford, and Bob Service, Shane, he does all my tires during the week, mounting and dismounting, and JR Welding, Dynamic Drivelines, of course, Andy and Kevin at Precision, and then my wrap guy, J2 Designs. So everybody makes it happen, and I'm 100% sponsor funded, so people don't really realize when they see all these stickers on the side of my car how much it actually means. So
It adds up and gets you there.
Yep, for sure.
Are you still working at Precise Racing Products?
Yep. I go to school and work at Precise as much as I can, and that's kind of the gig right now. So.
Yeah. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because I would think there's some advantages to where you can maybe find some nice deals, but then again, your racing account's got to get racked up pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's a good balance. No, I like working there. Working with Ryan's fun, and got a couple other guys that are fun to work with there, and just the customers. I like dealing with people, so it's a perfect job, really.
Do you ever see like a Sport Mod guy come in and buy some parts and you go, huh, look what he just bought?
Yeah, time and time again, but I'm obligated just to shut up. So.
Devyn Peterson, driver of the 5D. Expect big things out of him throughout 2020. Man, I can't say it enough. I'm really proud of the way you developed over the last 2 years, and I'm really happy you were able to finally get them wins. And hopefully you can continue it and just keep moving forward and build your career.
Yes, you and me both. Thanks.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back on the front stretch.
We all have that coworker that runs their mouth off at how great they are. They shot a 5 under par, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, bench press 375, brah. Wouldn't you love to shut them up by schooling them at Joe's Karting? Council Bluffs' premier indoor karting track, professionally designed so each corner is your opportunity to embarrass your coworker. Call Buddy for your next company outing at 712-256-5278. Joe's Karting, white knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue next to AMC 17.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole of the front stretch and the home of MAV TV, featuring action from the Lucas Oil Late Model Series.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Located on Mid-America Drive in Council Bluffs.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, rolling into turn number 2, and it's time to sit down with yet another track champion. By the way, if you haven't done so yet, join us Tuesday nights. We come down to Quaker Steak and Lube. We interview track champions, local drivers, and series drivers. And you can sit and watch it for free. We got our great friend Nancy's over here. She's a big supporter of I-80 Speedway. The Jenkinses are out here. The Petersons are here. So a lot of people having fun just hanging out, listening to interviews. Joining us on the show now for another Red Oak Fabrication interview, driver of the 22S Stock Car at I-80 Speedway and a couple of other racetracks, Shane Stutzman. How you doing, sir?
Thank you. Thanks, Dan, for having me out here tonight.
Where else did you race besides I-80 Speedway?
I went to McCool Weekly, and I ventured to Columbus Speedway and Deschler.
Okay. I haven't been to Deschler. Is that not a nice track? Is that a nice track? I've heard good things.
I used to race there weekly when they raced, but now they just hold specials a couple times a year. So
yeah. Shane Stutzman, once again, we talked about it, joining us on another Red Oak Fabrication interview. Don't forget, powder coating available at an affordable price at the intersection of Highway 34 and Highway 48 in Red Oak, Iowa. $275 for a bare frame to get powder coated. Any sandblasting or reworking that needs to be done, going to be a little bit more for the man hours, but save yourself a little bit of money. Save that race operation, a little bit of funds. Head on to Red Oak Fabrication to find out what they can do for you today. Just installed 4 new brand new powder coating bays. So not only is it going to be cheap, but it's going to be quick to get your powder coating turned around. Josh Most takes his modifieds down there all the time and gets them turned around real quick. So can you. RedOakFabrication.com for more information. Get a free quote today. Jordan F. at Red Oak Fabrication. Listen to this. Coming out of Milford, Nebraska, the 22S machine, 7 wins, 8 top 5s, 9 top 10s in 10 features. Whooped the field, but not the biggest points spread that we've talked about as we're covering the I-80 champions, because Eric Rempel very strong on the year, so was Scott Carlson. They were able to keep you tight, but Shane, 7 wins on the year. That's a big number.
Yeah, I had 1 DNF. And I think we had like 17 cars, and I ended up 17th that night. But it was just, I clipped the wall and knocked out my rear end, so I was done.
I kind of felt like this championship run really started about end of last season. You really started to come on strong in that 22S. And had it not been for the big points cushion that Scott Carlson was able to build up throughout the year, I think you could have claimed the track championship last year.
Yeah, last year I had 1 DNF, and we had a full field, 24 cars, and that really hurt me.
It's amazing how those 1 races, it seems like you can lose points a lot faster than you can gain them.
Yeah, I had a pretty good cushion all year long, and then there was like 2 or 3 races left to go. Like I said, I clipped the wall and knocked the rear end loose, so I was just done.
Just done that night. But
so was that the driver running out of one of the 3 T's that caused that? Or, I mean,
yeah.
You know the 3 T's, right?
Yeah.
Tires, track, and talent?
Yeah, I run out of track, I think, is what happened.
We're going to go with that one.
Yeah.
A good year for you. I was really impressed. I mean, incredibly fast. This stock car class is one of my favorites to watch because it's so hard to pass. And you start a little ways back every race. You don't always get to start on the pole.
No, I usually start 6th or further back generally. So hopefully I try to make the invert so I can usually start 6th, but
yeah,
that definitely helps.
Got that 22S machine rolling really well. Some of the keys you think that made you win this track championship this year versus previous years?
I don't know. I had lots of good help.
One
me
of
on
the 3
car,
T's?
Pretty good sponsors. I can't thank them enough. They just had a lot of support.
You've been doing this for quite a while and raced quite a few things. You're not just a track champion in the stock cars at I-80 over the last couple of years. You've been doing this for how long? 15, 20 years?
23 years.
Wow. I wouldn't have guessed it. I mean, you look like a spry little
Looks
rook.
like he's 23.
Right,
yeah.
you do.
I started racing in 97, so I don't know how many years it is, but I'm pretty sure it's in the 20s. So.
Yeah, you got a little facial hair going on, so you've got a little years on you.
I shaved this week.
You
I
did,
I did
yeah.
have a beard kind of going
That's
on,
okay.
so.
Beards are good this time of year because it really helps to kind of cut down that brisk wind that we can get in the Midwest.
Yeah, it's hunting season now. Now it's time to go out and shoot things.
Well, hey, speaking of that, Carhartt, there's this Carhartt store in Red Oak, Iowa at the Red Oak Fabrication. They've got great deals. They're a great sponsor of this show. Head down there. Tell Jordan that Dan sent you. He'll probably end up charging you double, so that actually won't work out.
Yeah, thanks.
You've got a great crew that comes to the track each and every week and helps you on the car. Is it a family event for you? Is that just kind of a regular family thing, is going out to the racetrack?
No, it's just good friends.
Yeah. They're the ones that help you get up and down the road?
Yeah, it's turned into a family deal type thing. But
Does your wife come out very often?
I'm not married.
I don't think. Oh, I'm sorry. Girlfriend?
Yeah, I have a girlfriend.
Okay. I don't think I've ever seen her at the racetrack. Am I missing her? Am I not at the 22S?
She didn't come to I-80 very much this year.
Okay.
She was there a few times.
Yeah.
So
All right. What all have you driven throughout your career?
started out in a cruiser, and then I started running a Friday night flyer at Eagle in 99 and 2000, 98. And then I got a stock car in 2002, and raced stock cars up until like 2006, and I kind of ventured into modifieds too, probably about 2004.
Okay. Didn't you win a track championship at Eagle?
I won a track championship in the flyer division at Eagle, and then I won modified division at McCool, track champion at Deschler, Beatrice, Red Cloud in the stock cars, McCool Junction in the stock car, and I-80 and McCool Junction again.
Good land.
And Nebraska state champion in like 2002.
Yeah. You've got some nice gear here you're wearing with the NASCAR champion. Is that the fresh stuff from this year, or is it still crisp from previous years?
No, it's just it was just a shirt that my grandma had, and I just stuck the NASCAR patch on.
Hey, whatever it takes. It looks sharp. It's really good.
Yeah, thank you.
So, did you win the state championship this year with picking up the track championship?
No. Oh, well, for NASCAR?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I probably did in Nebraska.
Well, because I always
Division
assumed.
5.
Yeah, I always assumed if you won the track championship at Nebraska, you won the state championship for NASCAR.
Well, if you won it at I-80, because it's
right.
the only NASCAR track.
But that's not necessarily true
Well,
because
it depends where they put the classes.
But the bonus points are different for the state championship than it is for the track championship.
I'm not sure if that's the only Division 1 or if it goes down through like all 5 divisions.
Because Josh Leonard won the track championship for the super late models, but Bill Layton won the state championship, which was a little bit wonky. In the first place, I realized that you can win the track championship, not necessarily mean you won the state championship.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, back to talking about Shane Stutzman. What's the 22 come from? Where's that number?
I bought a car from Bob Zubek, and his car number was 20. So I wanted to be 20. I could be 22.
Yeah, because you got to change it a little bit.
Yeah,
right,
so.
Right. Do you have any?
And I lived in Saline County at the time, so that was 22 county.
Okay, all right, that works.
Most drivers would say that was their IQ when they got into racing.
So what is your IQ now?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did it go up or down? Depends on the night, huh?
Yeah.
Do you have any?
Ran out of track, wasn't very good.
Do you have any kids?
I have one son, Barrett.
Yeah. Is he racing at all?
He has a cage kart.
Yeah. How long's he been? Is he racing at Little Sunset or Mini?
Yeah, he's raced at Little Sunset 2 years now.
Yeah. How's he doing?
He only got out one time this year, and we only made it out 1 or 2 times last year.
Barrett, we got to get you out to that cage kart a little more often, all right?
He wants to go to the turkey chase, is what he said.
Well, let's get him out there. Have you raced a cage kart before?
I have not raced a cage kart.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity. You and him could go out there and race together.
Yeah.
Go over to Joe's Karting and do a little bit of racing. You can. He's still a little bit too young at Joe's.
He can ride in the 2-seater with me.
Yeah. All right. Hey, make sure to thank all them great sponsors that help you get the 22S operation up and down the road.
Yeah, thank Imperial Manufacturing, B&B, Racing Chassis, Jet Racing Chassis, and I just won a rev car from the track championship in McCool, so the Mallet Meyer from, I think, Clarence, Iowa, he's sponsoring me a race car next year, so I got I'll have 3 stock cars now, so.
Oh, jeez. And they're all going to be different chassis. Is that what I'm gathering?
They're all different, yes.
That's got to be difficult to know how to switch from one car to another.
Oh, they're pretty much the same.
Okay.
You just put the same setup on it and go.
So Jet chassis, Rev chassis, and
B&B.
And a B&B. All right.
Yeah. Bob's Service is my main sponsor. It's my grandpa. Goldfuss Racing and Fab. Demon Decals make that thing look pretty sharp.
Yeah, it does. I always like the design of your car.
Troyer Concrete, Union Bank and Trust, Ready Set Snow LLC, Jackson Freeze and Construction. There's just lots of good people out there that help me all year long.
I don't appreciate you cussing on my radio show, that S word. I know it's a sponsor, but we don't need to be talking about snow yet.
Yeah, that's all right. They do landscaping.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. We'll accept it then. Appreciate you coming on the show.
And snow removal.
I see, you did it again. Now I'm going to get the delete button out again. Shane Stutzman, big year for you. Congratulations. Planning on being back in the stock cars at I-80 next year?
That's the plan. I think we're going to come back.
Yeah. Any other tracks you might hit on a weekly basis?
Probably McCool, Maybe Columbus. It just depends. I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard there might be a rumor that I'm going to Friday nights, so I don't know.
Well, we'll have to see what happens. Shane Stutzman driving the number 22S. Do you have a racing page that people can follow you on, or is it just friend Lisa, and then they can watch you there?
Yeah, I don't have a racing page. I should make one. So.
Well, with Barrett up and coming, we're going to have to get a racing page going.
Yeah.
Stutzman Motorsports.
There we go.
Stutzman and Son.
Yes, there you go. Stutzman and Sons Motorsports. But you got to have more than one son then all of a sudden.
Sons, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Shane, congratulations on the track championship. Best of luck to you in 2020. We're going to get you on the show again hopefully soon. Talk about your solid plans for 2020. But thanks a lot for joining us, and once again, congratulations on the track championship.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back on the front stretch.
As summer winds wind down, those chilly nights at the racetrack are just around the turn. Stay warm while looking good, cheering on your favorite driver with Carhartt from Red Oak Fabrication. Since 1889, Carhartt has proven their mettle from the trenches of World War I to the toughest job sites today. Browse the large selection at the Red Oak Fabrication's Carhartt store and get $5 off pants until September 29th. RedOakFabrication.com/Carhartt or at the corner of North 3rd and East Grimes in Red Oak.
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you white knuckle racing by the river bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. joeskarting.com for more information.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Welcome back to it. Rolling into turn number 4, brought to you by Quaker Steak and Lube, the official watering hole of the front stretch. We've been taking a couple of weeks off from the recording sessions because I think we got a little bit tired. Those are long days, working full days and then sitting down and setting up and doing those interviews and then getting home at like 9 o'clock. It's exhausting.
We were basically 5 till after 9. By the time we had to set up and tear it down. If we could just set it up and tear it down 2 months later, it'd be really neat.
Be a whole lot easier. So we're going to be getting back to that hopefully here in a couple of weeks. Make sure you follow the Front Stretch Facebook page for more information on that. But we will be at Quaker Steak and Lube on Sunday the 17th. That's next weekend for the Homestead Viewing Party. It's our opportunity to throw a party for the 2019 season. We'll watch as the green flag waves on the final race, the chase, the playoffs wind down, and then the checkered flag waves will crown a champion. We'll also crown a champion in our 2019 Pick'ems contest presented by Work Haven Ridge of Wealth Partners. So we got a lot going on that day, and I was cleaning out my garage last weekend while Texas was on in my ears, and I remembered that we have 2 Goodyear Eagles that we got to give away. So that is in the prize pool for items that we're going to be giving away. And then all the Pick'ems contestants, the 5-week contestants for the Quaker Steak and Lube, they get their $100 gift card. The winner does. And then all the season-long contestants, if they're there and wherever they finish in the point standings, they're going to be able to pick out their prize. Autographed items from you name it, and we've got it. You've done a great job this year of really tackling some of the drivers and getting them to autograph a couple of items. Some drivers a little slickery, though. They got away from you.
Now, that fall race at Kansas was just terrible. I mean, the spring race, we did a great job.
Yeah, it's so good we got in trouble.
I got in trouble in the spring race. I got in trouble at the fall race. So we spread it around.
But we do try to lock down some really great items. Not only NASCAR drivers, but also local dirt track drivers, national dirt track drivers. We have so many things in our prize vault. And so that's going to be coming up next weekend at Quaker Steak and Lube. Can't say thank you enough to Quaker Steak and Lube for all their support over the years of the front stretch. They've been a fantastic partner of ours. All right, today's race at ISM Raceway, Phoenix Raceway. Dirk, it's we've raced at this configuration before. They've got a little bit of a notebook, but it's not as thick of a notebook as most teams would probably like to have coming into this race.
Well, as 4 or 5 teams would like to have. As far as, say, most teams, it's just another race for most of the teams right now. But for 4 or 5 teams, it's a very important race. Kevin Harvick can go out now, just like he did last year, and just play spoiler at this race if he decides to pull out a win.
Yeah.
Same with Truex, and make the other 2 spots point in. And
I think Harvick and Childers have lost a little bit over the last couple of years. It's not the redesign. It's not the reshaping. I think the field has caught them finally because they were just lights out at Phoenix for, 4 4 straight races?
Well, basically all they did in their reconfiguration was basically move the starting line from what was the front stretch to the back stretch, into the dogleg area. So, and a lot of tracks have done that. Darlington did that, I don't know, back in the early 90s, I think, and Atlanta's done it, I think, over time. But, yeah, like I said, I think the other teams more have caught up than they've gone backwards.
This race earlier this year, Kyle Busch ends up picking up the win after leading 177 laps 6 different times, finished 5th in Stage 1, won Stage number 2. Winner of Stage 1 was Ryan Blaney, who also led 94 laps 5 different times. The man who doesn't have to really worry about today's race, Kevin Harvick, finished 9th on the day.
Yeah, and he could very well be back there again, this week. And the beginning of the year, none of the Fords really ran as they were expected to because they didn't have a whole lot of changes on their car over the winter.
Yeah.
So they were a little bit of a disappointment coming up. But once they got rolling, they've been rolling all year. They won a lot of races.
Martin Truex Jr. brought it home in 2nd. Ryan Blaney, like I mentioned, in 3rd. Eric Almirola 4th. Denny Hamlin 5th. Kyle Larson 6th. Kurt Busch 7th. Jimmie Johnson 8th. Kevin Harvick 9th. And Joey Logano, your top 10. Alex Bowman, bad day for him, finished 35th on the day. Eric Jones 29th. Matt DiBenedetto finished 28th. Just love saying his name. Daniel Suarez 23rd. Brad Keselowski 19th. Chase Elliott, who needs a great race today, needs a win, 14th on the day. That was this race earlier this year. That was early April? No, middle March.
I was gonna say March.
Middle March is when that race happened earlier this year. So looking at the results for this race last year, race number 35 on the schedule, same time as last year, ISM Raceway. Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch ends up picking up the win. Brad Keselowski comes home 2nd. Kyle Larson in 3rd. Eric Almirola in 4th. Kevin Harvick in 5th. Jamie McMurray, who's no longer in that one, that happens to be Kurt Busch now, he finished 6th. Matt Kenseth 7th. Austin Dillon 8th. William Byron 9th. And Bubba Wallace with a nice top 10 finish. Joey Logano 37th. Ryan Blaney 34th. Kurt Busch 32nd when he was in the 41 car. Let's see. Chase Elliott 23rd. So when he had a 14th and a 23rd in the last 2 races for Chase Elliott.
Yeah, it's not one of his good tracks. I mean, this track's very unique. So it's not a rhythm track just because there's a dog leg in the back. It's not a Dover where you're on the gas for 6 seconds and then you lift and brake and go back on the gas, or Bristol or any of that. Definitely not a road course. No shifting involved. It's just a very unique deal, and these young guys struggle. They really do. You don't see anybody just come in here and dominate this track.
Well, and it's a short track. It's a fast track that can be physically taxing on these guys.
Yeah, I think it's a little over. I know it's a mile. I think it's actually just a hair over a mile. But
officially, it's a 1 mile. But yeah, it probably just a hair over.
Yeah, I think it's 1.08 or something like that. But it's 2 different turns and the dog leg, which the dog leg anymore is the only part in any NASCAR track that's about 35 cars wide. Well, they go down on that apron on that back straightaway, and you can put 15 cars across there easy. It's just incredible what they do.
Like I mentioned, Kyle Busch wins the race. He led 2 different times for a total of 117 laps. Kevin Harvick led 2 times for 73 laps. Those were 2 of your big lap leaders. Let's see.
Blaney had 90-some laps left.
Kurt Busch led 52.
Would you say Blaney had 95, I thought.
That might have been earlier in the...
that was the other race.
This was this time last year.
Right.
Was that race. So that kind of gives you a picture of who did what this race last year. Yeah, so coming into today's race, for the 4 drivers that the 2 drivers that could be eliminated, Kyle Busch and Joey Logano, I think for them, their kind of play is how does Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, and Chase Elliott, how do they run that race? If Denny Hamlin or Ryan Blaney goes out and wins a stage, I think Kyle Busch and Joey Logano start to push a little bit harder and try to recoup those points.
Yeah, Kyle Busch has got an ego. He's won 2 in a row there. If he's got a car that's capable of being on front, if he qualifies up front, he's going to go to the front and try and stay there.
Yeah, that's the factor.
He's not going to play hide and seek.
That's the factor that I think a lot of people, and I did miss that a little bit, that I think a lot of people do miss, is that points racing, obviously NASCAR had to do something to get rid of the points racing because the fans hated it and Jimmie Johnson was so good at it. Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus both so good at it, and so they've created a system now that is more beneficial to race winners and to consistent drivers. But the inevitable factor is you've got a lot of guys in this playoff that still will drive their tail off to get a win, and not just the playoff contenders. I mean, I'll never say the Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick are going to lay back. If they've got a good car and they've got a chance to win, they're going to go out there and move somebody to go and get the win because they want one more notch in the column. They want one more trip to victory lane. Denny Hamlin's the same way. I think Brad Keselowski, who obviously is outside of the playoffs, not able to contend, he's that kind of a driver that will move somebody out of the way. Kurt Busch is that way, has been all of his career. Jimmy Johnson, I mean, give Jimmy Johnson a sniff of a victory lane, and you're going to see how modest he can not be.
Well, you saw him at Charlotte last year
Yeah.
at the Roval.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he went for the win last corner and ended up costing him a bunch of spots, ended up actually costing him moving on, as it turned out.
Yeah, he ended up getting eliminated from that. So, yeah, the inevitable factor, what I'm trying to get to is that regardless of the points system, these guys still want to win as many races as possible.
It's their job.
Yeah. If they have
to win a race, not just to advance.
If they have to sit on the stage and accept the second place trophy, they want to be able to say, yeah, but I won more races than that guy. I didn't win the championship, but I won more races than that guy. I had more top fives. I had more top threes. They want those bragging rights because that's what racing's all about.
Yep. I mean, when the only time nobody wants a trophy, and that's why you've seen them go away, is trophy dashes. You don't see them at the racetrack anymore. You see them every week. They'd go out, and the top two guys in the three heats would go out, and you'd have a 6-car dash for 6 laps or whatever it'd be for, and you'd get a trophy. But guys started to realize that trophy didn't get him any race tires, didn't get him any fuel. You know, it's 6 more laps on the engine.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw the trophy dashes go away. Now the only trophy that means anything is the one after the last race.
Right. Yep. And it's that's a beautiful thing about this sport. There is no taking a race off. They're always pushing. They're always trying. They may not look like they're out there running the hardest, but a lot of them are. And I think that it comes out of that pride thing. They don't want to be in second place. I want a field full of Kyle Busches that when they finish in second place, they storm out of there and they're pissed. I mean, I realize that sometimes Kyle goes a little bit too far and it rubs people the wrong way, but that's the kind of drivers I want. More Kyle Busches, more Kevin Harvicks, more Kurt Busches, more Brad Keselowskis. Brad says it absolutely perfectly. Roger Penske pays me to win races, not finish second.
Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly how he feels.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate everybody tuning in today for the show. If you missed any part of earlier today, maybe you missed a portion of Devyn Peterson talking about his season, or Shane Stutzman talking about his championship at I-80 Speedway and his season throughout the area. You can always catch it on YouTube. We'll get that published here just shortly. Coming up next weekend, obviously we have the Homestead viewing party at Quaker Steak and Lube. We'll get you set for Homestead by recapping the race at Phoenix. And then in turn number 4, we'll talk about Homestead, get you the results from last year's race and maybe some of our predictions. Maybe we'll get Chad in here to kind of talk about some of the statistical information. I always like having Chad on the show. Jacob Hobscheid's going to join us in turn number 2 to talk about his run, his thoughts on 2020. He had a really good end of the season, really found some speed in that 01 modified, and so we'll talk to him about his 2019 season and plans for 2020. Then we have one of the legends come on, Tom Myers. Great interview with Tom. He was one of the first ones we did when we sat down at Quaker Steak and Lube and just had a nice conversation with him. Good old boy. I love watching Tom race. He came out to I-80 Speedway quite a few times, but raced around the Denison, Harlan area for quite a few years. One of the legends in the area, so that'll be coming up next weekend.
Another good show?
Another good show, absolutely. Still to come, we have interviews with Sean Harker, Tyler Hoover. Sean Harker, obviously a sport mod driver throughout the area. Tyler Hoover, who was the Sport Compact Track champion at Adams County Speedway. And then we've got the Dirt in the Dome, the Gateway Dirt Nationals coming up on Dirt. Ben Shelton's going to join us on the December 1st show. And then also got Ryan Jenkins scheduled, plus so many interviews. I don't even have them all lined out for the next couple of weeks. But Ben's going to join us to talk about that Gateway Dirt Nationals. A great race, great opportunity, and it's so nice to be able to get down there and go kind of get away for the winter, because usually about December is when we get our first real snowstorm that it kind of stays on the ground. We've already had one snowstorm that kind of melted within like 12 hours of being on the ground. But so that's coming up over the next couple of weeks. As always, you can find our events page. We're going to try and sit down with track champions from Shelby County Speedway, Crawford County Speedway, and the Malvern Bank Super Late Model Series. and talk about their seasons and that stuff. And then that's really going to carry us into 2020, where then we have the Precise Racing Products Open House, the World of Wheels, where we do the appearances out there. So a lot of stuff coming up on the front stretch. Hey, while we got a few more minutes left in today's show, let's recap what's going on in the Quaker Steak and Lube 5-week contest presented by Rick Havenridge of Wealth Partners. Brittany Hendricks has a 1-point lead over Dan Cleaver, 191 points to 190. They've kind of separated themselves away from a 5-way tie for third. Brad Loudwig, Crystal Stanbaugh, Karen Smith, Nate Pickering, and Jim Blazina all in a 5-way tie for third place.
Can you tell what the 4 drivers was that she's used?
Yeah, I think I can pull that up. So looks like she has taken...
Because it doesn't make any difference. She can't use them again.
She's taken Keselowski, Elliott, Truex, and Harvick. And so that leaves her today's race. She's got a Kyle Busch left she could take today. And so far, that looks like a really smart pick.
Could be.
Could be.
You know,
Could be. Where am I, you ask? Let me scroll down the page here just a little bit. Boy, I have had a terrible, terrible contest. I am sitting in 50th. You and Chad are, you guys said you guys are tied. Yeah, so you guys are tied all across the board because you basically picked the same drivers all 4 weeks.
And the last week was really bad because I thought he would save Harvick for Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because he's that history guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I took Harvick, and then
so did he.
I'm still tied with him, so he had to take Harvick too.
Looking at the 2019 Pick'ems contest, the season-long contest, David Ackerson has a 4-point advantage over Jake Sells for the championship. Dale Smith, who is a former champion, 9 points behind in third. Mike Cleaver is 11 points behind in fourth. 12 points behind. 11 points behind in fourth. And Nate Pickering sits in fifth. He's a little bit farther back. He looks like 41 points behind.
But they've got 2
fifth.
races to go.
Right, they do. They absolutely do. So it's going to be a very tight contest coming down to the final ones, the final couple of races. In that contest, I was sitting in 17th for a long time. I was actually sitting in 16th, but I held myself out of the playoffs. I didn't feel it was right to be in the playoffs. And I would have let somebody else. We'd have done a 17th one, But anyways, I just didn't feel like I needed to participate in it. And it's a good thing I didn't because I've fallen pretty quickly. I fell from 17th. I'm back to 24th, but still having a good season. I think 24th out of, what do we have in this one? Like 89, 90 some?
I thought we started right at 100. I mean, there were a lot of people that I know dropped out fairly early. And
94 total contestants in this one. So
that was 94. I thought it was a little closer to 100. But
both of these contests presented by Rick Havenridge of Wealth Partners. Go to rickhavenridgeadvice.com for more information about what Rick can do for you. Wealth Partners is a subsidiary of Ameriprise Financial Services. Once again, rickhavenridgeadvice.com.
And we were lucky enough at Kansas Speedway that we got to introduce him to the Iowa Speedway president.
Yeah.
We just happened to be talking to Rick when David walked up, and so we made sure to introduce to him Rick Havenridge, as we know how much he helps us out. So
Dave's always a great conversation. David Hyatt, track president for Iowa Speedway. They seem to have some things that they have left to announce for their 2020 season, but for the most part, it's wrapped up in a bow tie and ready to roll coming up here in just, 4 or 5 months. But make sure you stay tuned to more information about that. Front Stretch on Facebook for more information. Facebook.com/Front Stretch Radio to follow us on the Front Stretch, the Facebook page. We also have events coming up of what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. Make sure you follow us there, and hope to see you at Quaker Steak and Lube for the Homestead viewing party next Sunday. For Dirk Houston, I'm Dan Taylor. Once again, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll do it again next weekend as we get you set for Championship Sunday for NASCAR. This has been the Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590.
The official watering hole of the Front Stretch has you covered any day of the week with the best wings, great burgers, and amazing steaks. Each weekday from 4 to 6 is happy hour, featuring $1 off draft and well drinks plus $4 Luberitas. Mondays are kids' night. Tuesdays are all-you-can-eat wings for $12.95, and the lube even delivers to the Council Bluffs area. Like Quaker Steak and Lube Council Bluffs on Facebook for a full list of weekly events.
Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Mid-America Drive, Council Bluffs.
Hey, look at that. You're sitting on your couch playing Halo, Madden, or NASCAR while your friends are at Joe's Karting. Each lap is an adrenaline-filled, heart-pumping, white-knuckle experience that you can only get at the Metro's largest indoor karting track. Eco-friendly Honda engines rip you around the professionally designed road course at breakneck speeds. Can you reach the 14-second lap bracket? There's only one way to find out. Put the controller down and get to Joe's Karting, 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs next to Quaker Steak and Lube.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page, where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.